So the last... yes, but there was another one just before. Political rights without political rights. Ah, yes, groups without political rights. This is what you were saying, that there are groups without political rights that are discriminated. This was your second question, isn't it?
Yeah, the second question was when there's economic inequalities and economic, reduced opportunities with a certain group. So when you have equal political rights, will it perpetuate these economic inequalities? That's the gist of my question.
No, of course, if you have economic inequality, it's going to have an impact on the rights, the civic rights of people. This is what you are saying?
The other way around. If you have equal political rights in a situation where there is an unequal economic situation.
What you mean is that sometimes we have to promote, affirmative action to support some of the... This is what you... Sorry? No, the point on this, that on affirmative actions, I'm not in principles completely against. I think it has to be studied depending on the need of the society and the mapping of the society. But I think really, and I can see this now, that to say and to come on with a very theoretical framework by saying equal opportunity for us, in fact, you sometimes are confirming the basic inequalities. So you have to come with something which is pushing the people to help them to have, at least the way to reach some positions. So affirmative action, I wouldn't be completely against, but we better start with acting against, because it's also called positive discrimination. Affirmative action. In France, they call this positive discrimination. I say we may have to start with ending the negative discrimination and then to promote positive discrimination or affirmative action. But it's a comprehensive approach. It cannot just be played with as it is now. Now it's cultural politics. It's playing one group against the other. Is not a complete vision of the social justice that we are promoting. So this is why I see it as negative if we are playing with the groups, if it's not a vision for all. The we that we are talking about. And as you were saying, coming from Gaza and from Palestine, don't get me wrong on this either. When I was talking about Guantanamo and the way the people are treated in the United States of America, very often I see the Arabs criticizing the West in Guantanamo and in Iraq by saying this is unacceptable, and we have to say it. It's unacceptable the way you treated the prisoners and the inmates in Abu Ghraib and in Guantanamo, and still what is happening now, because the President Barack Obama was telling us he was going to end this, and it's not over. Now, in the Arab world, we have two things to do. The first one, which is, from the very beginning, and I have been, I was banned from the United States of America for my support for Palestinian organizations. And when I came back, the first time I came back after Hillary Clinton said Tariq Ramadan can come back, is to speak about it. I will never stop talking about the injustices against the Palestinians. So this is something that is not disputable. It has to be a principle. All what we are talking about here in the Middle East, if we don't understand that one of the critical conflicts that is central in anything which is happening in the Middle East is the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Even with all the elections now, even with the new strategies and the American strategies in the region and the Israeli positioning in the region has to do with this conflict. And we have to be clear, today in Palestine and today in this conflict, there is an oppressor and there is an oppressed population. The oppressor is Israel and the oppressed is and are the Palestinians. And anything which is coming to be, peace between the two, they are equal, is an injustice in the starting of the discussion about this And then this is where we have to be clear on Gaza, for example, what was done. And it's still done, because the problem with Arabs and Muslims around the world, they are following the media. When the media are talking, we react. But day in, day out, now in Gaza, and you know this better than me, it's unacceptable, the level of discriminations, and the people are sometimes even not having job, not having the minimum to survive, not having water, not having medicines. This is just a shame for the international community. And if we are serious about this, this is what we have to do. So this is where, you know, what happened in Gaza, I was saying, as to the means the Palestinians are using at the local level to resist this injustice, it's for them to decide, which means they have to choose, because they are at the forefront. As for me, from where I am, the point is that we need the global movement and non-violent resistance to the Israeli oppression. A non-violent movement means wherever we can, we speak about it, and we mobilize, and we boycott anything which is coming from Israel as something which is, we are not accepting your policy, and we are supporting the oppressed. So this discussion about the fact that we have to be clear on the Israeli policy, the American support, I was banned. You know, when I was banned from the country and I was applying for a visa, what they were asking me is, what is your take on Israel and what is your take on Iraq? I was saying resistance in Iraq is legitimate, resistance in Palestine is legitimate. You are wrong with your unilateral support to Israel. And this is it. This is 80% of the questions that I had in the American embassy were about Palestine, Israel, and Iraq. And I keep on repeating, this is where we have to be. So this is where we have to be courageous, because here it's very easy to be courageous, but it's a daily struggle you have to face. You know, you have to face people. When you are, for example, a public figure and you have to talk to media, you know and you see how much it's playing from behind the scene. They want to spot you, they want to target you in a way, but there is no other way for us. Our support to justice is starting also with our support to the Palestinians. But I would say to all of us here, not only for Palestinians, the strength of our struggle is to say, with all the oppressed, so we are not selective. For me, it's essential because I know how much the Palestinians are, you know, the hunger strike in Gaza, and the people who are not talking about this. We signed petitions, we wrote articles, and we are at the forefront of this. And we know that the media are not talking about what is happening now. They are not talking, so we have to be there. But if you want to be heard by people who are not really understanding the level and the risk and the situation there, we also need to be struggling for all the people who are oppressed around the world. So, for example, my point with BHL, Bernard-Henri Lévy, the French philosopher, the great French philosopher, he is with the world except he's not talking about Israel and Palestine. So he knows how it works. So he is going from one country to another. He's with the Libyan people, he is the Syrian people, he's everywhere, and say, what about the Palestinians? And he keeps quiet. Our answer to this is that we are talking about everything. And the Palestinians are not going to be forgotten in our struggle. So if what you want to say is this, I want also to say, when the people were talking about Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib, I was also saying, don't try to criticize the American without being self-critical. What is happening in our jails, what is happening in the Arab jails, what is happening as torture day in, day out, even in the petromonarchies that are supported by the West, it is unacceptable. And if we keep quiet, we are compromising on our principles. So this is also the courage that we need to have. You know, the way, for example, I'm struggling against what is done to the immigrants, for example, in Europe, the way they are treated like criminals. And when you come here, and you go to petromonarchies, and you see how much we are treating and how we are treating the immigrants, the poor Pakistani people, Filipino people, the poor people that are coming here from Indonesia and sometimes coming from other countries. Is this normal? So we want to teach the West and we do worse than them here? Be an immigrant no, that's too serious to clap about. It's too serious. Be an immigrant in the petromonarchies. Look how they are treated like slaves. And you want to teach Islam to the people, and we are silent. We want to, what is it about? It's not acceptable. So this is one point here. When I'm talking about Palestinians, I want my words to be consistent with all the struggles when it comes to injustices and discriminations. So I'm not going to keep quiet by saying the first enemies of the Palestinians, to tell you the truth, are the Arabs. Because they are not courageous. They are not doing the job. So we keep on criticizing the West. If only we were clear on the way we are supporting the Palestinians, the world wouldn't be so easy in accepting the way the Palestinians are killed. The blood of the Arabs today has no real value because the Arabs are not respecting themselves. This is the point. This is the reality. And then it comes to policy. Let us be consistent, because if we speak about human rights, the starting point, you know, one day we are going back to God. And we can tell him, I didn't know. I didn't know how the people, my brothers and sisters in humanity, were treated in Saudi Arabia or in Qatar or in the petromonarchies. I didn't know how they are treated in the jails. I didn't know how they are treated in Arab jails. They are tortured. They are raped. How come we are staying silent? So at one point, it's all good to come here. But what I'm advocating at the end of this talk is, please be wise in your political stance and a bit courageous in your political behavior and intellectual attitude. This could help the oppressed around the world. Allahu A'lam.
Will the panel please remain on stage to receive small tokens of appreciation? Now I would like to invite Mr. Zairil Kirajohari up again on stage to accompany Professor Wu to present the moderator and the panel with small tokens of appreciation.